Okay, in this video we're going to be checking out the iRangeX iRX4 Lite Multiprotocol Module. This is a multi-protocol module for the Taranis X-Lite, you can see here. And it just goes into the back. I'll show you how that goes in here in a second. It's, not a whole lot here to see. Obviously it just slides into the back as a little smaller module for the X-Lite, and you get a micro USB port for firmware upgrades. Obviously there's a bigger version of this for the full-size GR module that will work in your QX7 and your traditional Taranis X9D, etc. I believe there's a newer version with a micro USB port as well, the bigger size. I reviewed the older version that didn't have the micro USB port, which required opening it up to do firmware updates to connect to, like, I think it was like some sort of a program or something like that. I never really covered that. But nowadays, you can get the ones with the micro USB ports to do firmware upgrades, but pretty sure that what's on here now is going to cover most of the stuff that's out there right now. The reason you want firmware upgrades is if you have a protocol that comes out in the future that uses one of the 4 chips that are inside here, then you can then get flash a firmware upgrade to use that particular new protocol on this module. So that's kind of nice that this is, pretty easy firmware upgrades for the future. So this doesn't really come with a lot of stuff here. You just get the antenna, and then you get some documentation here. And if you want to know more about how multi-protocol modules work, I would look at my older video on the bigger version of this, and or consult the there's like a GitHub link and also an RCGroups link that talks about what protocols work with what, and if a certain protocol work with your model. There's going to be more help there than in terms of you asking me whether a certain model works with this or not. For the most part, the answer is probably going to be a yes, that it will work. Although, unless I have that particular model and have bound it and flown it, I can't really confirm that. So a lot of times I get these questions: will something work? And especially like a lot of the toy ones. And yes, they probably will, but there's thousands of toy models out there, and I don't have nearly all of them, although sometimes it seems like I do, and so a lot of times I can't confirm that. But what I'm mostly interested in this, for this one here, is obviously with the X-Lite, you can run FreeSky, but if you want to run FlySky or DSMX or DSM Spectrum protocol, for example, this is going to come in very, very handy. So first off, you're going to have to make sure that your X-Lite has the proper firmware on there. You have to have the version 2.2.2 with the multi-protocol option enabled in the build of the firmware. Now, if you get the firmware from the FreeSky website, that should work. I'll just demonstrate that here, because I actually did a video on upgrading your firmware on this radio directly from the FreeSky source, not the Open Companion source. So if you want to watch that video, I'll also put a card in the corner to that video, because you're going to need that. I believe the older version doesn't have that option enabled, in which case this will not work if that option isn't enabled. So we'll go ahead at this point, assuming that you've already got the firmware updated, then we'll just pop this on, and I'll show you how to operate it. Basically, you take this little cover off in the back, it slides off. You're going to put this on, and then make sure that the pins line up. You don't want to misalign it and then damage the pins. And if you feel any resistance, don't force it, and they should just snap right in, and it should stay in. And then of course you want to put your antenna on. Screw that on. Okay, and then we'll go ahead. We'll turn this on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
You can see it's already on one of my models here. We're going to create a new model. So let's go to the model page and create a new model. In this case, we'll create a multi-rotor model, and we'll just assign our channels. And they usually fly the default, which is AETR, and long to confirm. Okay, we'll go into the model here, and what you want to do is here in the model setup at the bottom here, you want to turn the internal RF off. Let's see. So turn the internal RF off, that's FreeSky. And on the external RF, you want to enable that, and you want to go to this mode called MULT, or Multi-Protocol Module. Select that, and then here you can select whatever protocol you want to set it at. So there's FlySky, Hipson, FreeSky, and I am going to bind this up to FlySky second generation receiver here, and it's going to be this one here, FS2A, and I'm going to change, oops, select that, and I'm going to change the subtype to PPM and iBus, and then you can assign a receiver number here if you want, and then go here and set, and then this is where you would actually do the bind. So you would put your receiver into bind mode, then press this, it'll go into bind mode, and then it should bind. And so let me go find something here, and I'll bind up something just to make sure this is actually working. Okay, so I got a model here with FlySky receiver in here, and I'm going to have to do the whole binding trick here. Press the bind button and plug it in. Okay, so now I see the receiver's in bind mode, it's flashing quickly. And I'll go back over here and then initiate the bind here, and I want to show this on camera. It'll go from a fast flash to a slow flash. You see there, it's now the blue light is flashing slowly. And for these FlySky second generation receivers, if it's not one of the ones with telemetry, these little micro receivers, you have to actually shut the power down the radio to get the radio out of bind mode. And let's go ahead and turn it back on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Now we see that we have a solid blue light. And I've already set up this model here. I've actually given it a name and set up the channels and everything. The arm switch should be the same here. And that's working. I think this one's actually crashed, damaged. I haven't used this one in a while. I think this motor's no good. You can see that one's not spinning. So yeah, so the receiver's working. The drone itself isn't, but the receiver's working. That's how you would bind up a FlySky second generation micro receiver. Obviously, the binding procedures are going to be a little bit different for every single receiver that's out there, and obviously this one can do thousands, so I'm not going to cover all of those because it would just make this video go on forever. But for the purposes of this review, you can see that this multi-protocol module works, as far as I can tell, exactly the same as the bigger ones on the other radios. It's just that this is tailor-made for the X-Lite. Anyway, it's going to do it for this review of the iRangeX iRX4 Lite. There is actually a similar version of this module made by someone else that's about $5 or $6 more. This appears to be exactly the same. Obviously, I haven't flown this or done a range test. I will do that at some point. But the chips in here are all the same in all the modules. So, and I've been flying the Jumper T12 with the same chips on that multi-protocol module, and I have full range on those, and especially on the FreeSky XM Plus receiver. So I don't expect this to have any issues, but if I do, I'll let you guys know. But I fully expect this one to work just fine in terms of range. And this is actually coming about $5 cheaper than the other version, which has been out of stock for a while. I don't know where that is. Anyway, I happened to get this one first, and it works great. So the link in the description if you want to check it out, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.